We've all played Call of Duty, but what's it really like to be on the front line? This first-person footage will give you an idea. The Famous World published this footage in January of 2018. The video, which is 25 minutes long, is filmed from the perspective of the driver of the US Humvee. You can see more vehicles in front and someone outside guiding the driver to position the Humvee as a blockade. The driver tells his commander that the opposing forces are taking fire, which you can hear in the background.
You're looking south, right? Look where guns are firing. Kilo 05 to Struck 5, can you give us the distance and direction over?
The driver then hops outside and fires in the direction of the opposing forces. Following some back and forth, the driver arms himself and crosses the desert in open view to cover his brothers in arms, one of whom is hurt on the ground. They load the man into one of the Humvees, and then there's a good amount of running back and forth between the barricade and the Humvee. At some point, they load up to head off. It's unclear whether the opposing forces stood down, but what is clear is the scary standoff was handled textbook by these men. Now you see it, now you don't. A pale, ghostly figure appears at the end of the darkened hallway. It seems to enter from the left. The dog clearly sees it and runs toward it. Then when the light flips on, the figure just disappears. The dog seems as surprised by this turn of events as we are. Watch it again. The figure is visibly there, there's no mistaking it. So where did it go? Although I'm not sure where the figure disappeared to, I did notice something else in the video. Watch the shadow on the floor after the light flickers on. Something clearly walks past in the other room. Is it the ghostly figure or some other monster? A YouTuber named More Bad Ideas is riding his bike late at night. He normally would never go out at this odd hour, but he just got home from vacation and he just can't wait until the morning breaks to ride again. It's a decision that he will soon regret. He's popping wheelies down empty streets and old parking lots when he comes across a random golf ball sticking out from a sewer grate. He's amused and throws it around for a bit. It lands in some grass next to something much weirder. A camcorder laying in a wet plastic bag. The camera still has a memory card and some battery life, so he curiously presses play.
Yo, what the f is this? Dude, are you serious right now? Yo, that a knife with blood?
In case you couldn't see the screen clearly, the video shows a woman tied to a chair whimpering. Suddenly, a car puts its high beams on and floors it towards him. He hops on his bike and narrowly gets away. He sees the person chasing him one more time a short while later, and then he barely escapes again. If you hear something outside, don't go investigate. You might not like what you find. Published to YouTube in July of 2006, TCan456 writes, "Just watch, but not before you go to bed. Take his advice." In this home video, our friend, who is clearly scared judging by his breathing patterns, looks around his house after hearing something and then heads outside to investigate. He passes a large potted plant as he turns a corner. Nothing appears to be there, but when he turns back, a figure flees from behind the plant and races into the darkness. The cameraman runs after it but quickly loses the creature. He searches along some thick hedges in his backyard and soon faces the plant man again. Instead of searching him out further, he races inside, locking the door behind him, runs to his room, locking that door too, and gets in bed. All the while there is banging. Although it's not clear where the sound is coming from. The rest of the video is nothing but a black screen. one upon which you keep expecting a jump scare to surface. Don't worry, the fear is over, but my questions about this video remain unanswered. Have you ever heard your loved one's voice coming from another world? Posted to TikTok by Gio Van Lima, this creepy video will catch you off guard.
Que porra é essa, mano?
Vem cá.
Que porra é essa?
Amor.
The man recording hears a woman's voice which he identifies as his girlfriend's coming from around the corner, but he turns to find her asleep next to him. He writes that they were alone at the time, so who or what is trying to lure him into another room?
Que porra é essa, mano?
Vem cá.
Que porra é essa?
Amor.
Is this one of those demon spirits? I think that's a strong possibility. A YouTuber named Dylan HD decides to explore an abandoned house with some friends. The home still has some furnishings, including a wall full of creepy paintings of children. The far end of the house is completely dark, and they are hesitant to explore this section. Finally, one of them bravely goes into the darkened corner and comes back shaken. He announces someone is looking at them through the window. Pay attention to the thin beam of light behind him during this clip, because that's the window he's referring to.
There's someone who's at the window.
Act.
Someone was at the window.
Was.
gone really bright now. Is the window after open?
No, it's the same.
The thin beam of light silently extinguishes as the window is closed by whoever was on the other side. It's important to note that all three friends were close together when this happened. One could be seen on tape, the second was holding the camera, and the third could be heard directly to their right. The trio runs screaming out of the house and never looks back. Is something living in this underground train station? Posted on the r/ghosts subreddit by Ben Taylor. The scary video shows the behind the scenes nature of the underground at Cruise Station in the UK. As the Redditor and his friend walk through the station, mysterious haunting noises echo through the underground, like a creature is roaring or wailing, like an animal. The roaring repeats over and over. The boys walk through a fenced-in area and the sound gets louder, but its source isn't any more apparent.
It stopped. Do you not hear it? Stop.
Yeah.
The sound repeats and then changes a little, causing the cameraman to turn around and hightail it out of there. It stops for a moment but then continues again as they decide to retreat.
Come on, get out. I'm not waiting because we've got to do tricks anyway.
The Redditor writes, the area was checked for dogs, animals, and even an injured security guard by transport police, as the noise was causing the staff to stay away from the area. No dogs, no humans, no pipes were there for the dog to stick its nose in. A howl down and security informed us nothing was found the next day, but the noise returned the next night. One Redditor in the comments, Nululus, says it might be a small deer species that's an invasive breed in the UK called the muntjac deer. Others still think it's an injured dog or a piece of machinery, but the Redditor seems to lean toward the paranormal, as he says other employees have heard strange noises and seen unexplained objects moving. We could make theories all day, but it's only the Redditor and his co-workers who witnessed it in person. So if they're saying it's paranormal, I think that explanation makes the most sense to me. Ben of the YouTube channel Laney and Ben says paranormal events still occur in their forever haunted home. Here's a quick update of some of those events. First, a cup trick. followed by the opening of kitchen drawers. Watch the silverware closely. Things get even more dangerous in another video. And the kitchen soon devolves into this madness. It doesn't appear that Lainey and Ben's poltergeists are fading anytime soon. In fact, the last video makes me think their powers are only getting stronger. This guy doesn't want to believe his house is haunted, but it is. Published by the Japanese channel, Keroro Mask Channel, in October of 2020. Look what appears at the other end of his sofa. The video begins in the middle of things with a loud thumping, as the cameraman is backing down the hallway, clearly afraid of something in the home. He zooms in on the dark living room and there appears to be a hand gripping the arm of the sofa. As he zooms out, the mysterious hand vanishes. More thumping sounds are heard and the cameraman backs out further. Is this home housing something paranormal? If not, who does the hand belong to? A YouTuber named Muzamil Khan records his neighbor having an argument one floor up. Muzamil knows that there is only one person in the apartment, but somehow at least two voices are coming out of the same man. I didn't really hear what he was talking about until this part in particular. Listen to this and tell me if you hear multiple voices panting, breathing, and speaking at the same time. Muzamil keeps recording until his roommate wakes up and shuts the door. Later, he says the police eventually took his neighbor into custody, who by that time had removed his clothes and was acting even more possessed. It's hard to tell from this video whether this man was actually possessed or just under the influence of something, which still doesn't fully explain how numerous voices could come out of one person at the same time. A YouTuber named C. Codain is with a group of friends who are ready to explore an old creepy tunnel. They keep running out because they think they see something inside, but nothing shows up on camera until their fourth and final attempt. First, they hear it before they see it. It sounds a lot like the other rake videos in my opinion, but let me know what you hear. They remain at the mouth of the tunnel while the creature slowly walks towards them, making those sounds all the while. They clearly get the creature on video once and for all, but not without risking their lives first. The shrieking monster is all gray and stands upright like a human. It's hard to say whether this was their friend or an actual sewer mutant. Their reactions of excitement and disbelief sound real, at least compared to most other videos, so I'm inclined to believe this was an actual creature they spotted at random. A lady in a car confronts this group after she believed they were making rude comments about her daughter. The group of boys try to argue that she is mistaken and they have done nothing wrong. The woman seems not to believe them, and that's where things get heated.
I'm just trying to look to where you live.
Why?
Why you live?
You're not coming to my house.
I want to talk to your parents.
You're not coming to my house.
Well, are you gonna cry?
You're not coming to my house.
She parks her car in the road and comes right up to the group. They begin to argue back and forth and nothing gets resolved. The police were eventually called and that's where the video ends. It remains unclear if the boys had done anything wrong or if the woman was acting like this for no reason. A YouTuber named JMX decides to push himself to his absolute limits by taking one of the most extreme YouTube challenges yet.
What are we going to be doing? We're going to be not drinking water for 48 hours.
To be clear, this challenge includes not just abstaining from liquids, but also from any food products with water in them as well. Things are going okay at first, but after about 20 hours into the challenge, his thirst starts to get the better of him. JMX's voice becomes scratchy and his lips grow white and chapped. He said he feels confused and not like himself at all, and there are still more than 24 hours to go.
4 hours to go till we're halfway, so we're 20 hours down, and yeah, still kind of feel like, to be honest, I want to drink so bad.
By the second day, he comes down with a bad cold and feels completely terrible. He does not look or sound like the same person we saw at the beginning of the video. Watch this part and tell me if you agree.
Okay, we're about 3 hours away now. I honestly just want to drink something.
By hour 46, he feels like he might be in serious trouble, but he refuses to give up this far in. A friend makes him book a doctor's appointment, and JMX tries to finish the last 2 hours of the challenge under medical supervision. The doctors eventually force him to take in fluids through a needle before the 48 hours are up. JMX thinks that being given fluids through a needle does not count as breaking the challenge. Either way, I'm glad he experienced no long-lasting effects from this experiment. When American Airlines Flight 280 took off from Seoul, South Korea, heading to Dallas, none of the 240 passengers aboard the flight knew they were about to take the scariest ride of their lives, but that's just what happened. The plane encountered severe turbulence, which was caught on camera by passengers. The turbulence was so severe that the flight was diverted to Tokyo. After 15 people aboard the flight were injured, 5 of them being hospitalized. One passenger, Mark Stanley, an attorney in Dallas, told the Morning News they were diverted after 45 plus minutes of insane turbulence. The remaining passengers were put up in Tokyo for the night, but not sure if I'd have the stomach to get back on a plane the next day. What's this strange light doing here? That's what Michael Oishi wants to know, and so far no one has been able to help him. I personally think this looks like a high-powered spotlight because I see a smaller light artifact that seems to generally correspond with its movements, indicating that this is actually part of a beam coming from the bottom of the screen. With that said, I wonder what's off camera casting this long, creepy shadow. The Southern Arizona Ghost and Paranormal Society teams up with fellow ghost hunters, the Mission Creeps, to investigate the ever-so-haunted Oliver House in Bisbee, Arizona. 26 people are said to have lost their lives here over the years, the most famous being a man named Nat Anderson, whose wife disposed of him with 2 rounds after learning of an affair. Now gathered in the historic bedroom of the Oliver House, they call upon Nat Anderson and possibly get a response.
Somebody told us that Nat Anderson was here. Is Nat still here?
This is one of the clearest paranormal voices I've ever heard. It sounds distant yet in the same room as them. I'm wondering if this was edited in, and I'm especially looking for the opinion of any sound technicians. Here it is one more time. Maybe it's just me, but I'm detecting a hint of sarcasm in the voice, so maybe it was Nat Anderson being funny by saying he wasn't there, or maybe it was a different ghost who is tired of this question altogether. Sometimes ghost hunters become the hunted, published by Yoon Sai-won in April of 2021. That's what happened to this Korean ghost hunter on one of his most recent investigations. Upon entering the haunted locale, he hears a strange noise.
안녕하세요.
It could be a dog barking in the distance, but who knows? Whatever it is, he has a bad feeling.
이 불길한 기운은?
And that feeling grows when the EMF meter reacts strongly, despite there being no electricity in the place. Using facial recognition software, faces also start to appear around the abandoned place. And they're getting closer by the second. Later, as the ghost hunter is using a spirit box, he hears a loud bump in the night. And then again as he continues his search. Is Yoon Saiwan being stalked? It may be best to call off this ghost hunt. This video of a mysterious creature was published to YouTube by Real Ghost Official 007 in December of 2019. The video, taken in the lot of a gas station, shows a slender, spindly limbed creature standing on two legs. It is momentarily caught by the headlights of a passing vehicle before it darts off, out of sight. It looks somewhat similar to the creature in a TikTok video that's coming up on this list. Perhaps it's of the same mysterious breed. It makes sense to me, but I guess it could be something else altogether. Do you have any other explanations? It's enough to keep me indoors. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by FitEntry2562. This redditor wrote, "Lightning without thunder." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about. There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Zoidberg GE thinks that this is heat lightning, while Tillman117 wrote, "There's no such thing as heat lightning. The reason why you can't hear it is because it's simply too far away. The light from lightning can travel a very large distance as the sound cannot, considering clouds can be thousands of feet in the air, and the distance you are from that cloud currently can just mean it's too far away for you to hear it." So it seems like both sides are at least in agreement that this mysterious storm has an explanation, but nevertheless, what do you think this is? Let me know in the comments. It's 12 in the morning when this stranger starts creeping along the side of a fence in slow and even steps, as if in a deep trance. He has an old portable radio on full volume, and he doesn't say anything, just slowly turns the knob. Occasionally, he pauses long enough to stare through the fence without saying a word. His radio does plenty of communicating though, and this part is especially weird. The radio just so happens to say something about walking away here. They reach the end of the chain link fence and nothing separates the two. The video ends with a really long stare down that the strange man easily wins. He reaches into his coat pocket for something, and the cameraman bolts for cover. A smart decision. A YouTuber named You Want Sun catches an eerie moment on live TV when this news anchor has a problem unlike any I've seen. She sounds normal the entire time, but she starts blinking excessively, followed by this.
Is reporting a record turnout at this point. Nevada and Nebraska are also showing that Democrats are getting a jump on early voting. In Washington, I'm Susan Roberts. Ron and Mary.
Pause. And look.
I've seen videos where both eyes change into a creepy off color before, but I've never seen a video where one eye stays the same and one eye does whatever this is. Also, they cut away from her as soon as it happens, which makes Yuwad's son wonder what exactly happened here. I think it's possible, but I'm not sure, so I'd like to get your thoughts. Was this a glitch or something way worse? A YouTuber captures an apparition on his doorbell cam that somehow changes shape and color. First, it has an oversized white head with no face. Then it becomes see-through to the point where you can make out the bush behind it. And then it switches to a blinding white color without getting thinner. The whole time it somewhat resembles a human in height and gait, but how? Since this is the only footage of the apparition, we may never know. A YouTuber named Daniel finds a graveyard that is different than most others. It is in a bad state of disrepair, but beyond that, some of the graves are just plain missing.
Doesn't look like it's 6 feet deep either.
The graves could have simply been relocated, but if that were the case, then I think that the grave sites would have been filled back in. For some reason though, this graveyard has perfectly dug up graves with absolutely no evidence of a burial. There's no casket and no headstone. It's not like these plots were recently dug for a future burial either. Vegetation is slowly creeping back over them, and they are covered with a light bed of dry leaves. Whatever the explanation for the absence of these graves, one thing is for sure, clearly a lot of time has passed since they've been uncovered. This Snapchat video was taken at a school in Estherville, Iowa. You can see a deer standing outside looking very confused before it suddenly tries to get in without warning.
Watch out!
I'll explain those later.
Clearly, the zombie deer wants to get inside however it can, searching around the sides of the glass for an opening before giving up and resuming its confused vegetative state. Those inside are lucky that this deer is too small to break the glass. If this was a full-grown deer running at them, things could have been much different. Hopefully, they contacted animal control and thoroughly disinfected this door before letting anyone touch it. A group of ghost hunters are exploring a notoriously haunted retirement home in Ohio at 1 a.m. when they manage to find something strange and unsettling.
To the bathroom. Here it is again at half speed.
One of the ghost hunters barely manages to catch this fleeting shadow while turning around. The room to the right is completely empty and nobody is inside, plus everybody else is in a different section of the house. It doesn't look like the camera is simply adjusting to different lighting conditions, so there really is absolutely no reason for a shadow to be on the right side of the screen like that. To me, it looks like something is possibly making a quick escape. It's midnight, everyone's asleep, except for this ghost, published by The Haunted One in August of 2020. This short clip shows a thirsty ghost having a nightcap. Watch closely as the bottle on the counter moves ever so slightly on its own. It slides from the middle of the island to the very edge. Is this ghost about to smash some glass, or is he just playing mind games? Either way, I definitely think this place is haunted. A paranormal channel called Love to Investigate has one of the creepiest ghost videos ever, a sighting that looks real and must have been terrifying for them to have caught on camera.
I don't like looking behind shower curtains, that just creeps me right out. The bathroom again. That's pretty cool, that is.
They are exploring a haunted mental asylum when the spirit of a former patient glares at them from the hallway. When they look up, it's leaving as she makes a comment about the smell.
That's pretty cool, that is. Smells like an hospital in this part, definitely.
The apparition has long black braids and wears a long dress that women had to wear at the mental asylum long ago. The paranormal investigator later comments that they had no idea they were being watched by the supernatural at the time. Had they known, they would have ran away in the opposite direction. This Russian dashcam video starts with a car full of friends gawking at a figure dressed in all black who looks very out of place standing all alone in the quiet city streets so late at night. Something feels off about this stranger, so they decide to double back and take a second look out of curiosity. This time they get a much better view at the shadowy apparition and they all yell in surprise. The cloaked figure has stepped into the street and now faces them, almost as if expecting their return. The camera's quality is admittedly not very good, but I can't make out a single discerning feature of this person's face, which makes me wonder if they even have one to begin with. It's almost as if they were a shadow person. Then again, these friends kind of sound like they were possibly making a big deal out of nothing. With that said, something about the figure's silent, menacing posture and the way it stands in place makes me think this could be a spirit after all. An urban exploration channel called JJ Retro is exploring an abandoned house on the edge of an English village late at night. You can tell he's nervous just standing at the entrance of this creepy estate.
It's time to come exploring somewhere like this because we're in the middle of nowhere, on the outskirts of Slinfold, at this rather creepy house, and there's a sort of haunted feel to it.
Outside, they find a spooky tree with a rope slung over the branch and a plank of wood to step off of. I don't think we need to spend much time explaining what kind of scary events happened here, and when they start exploring the inside, every room fills them with a renewed sense of dread.
Yeah, this is creepy. This is probably the creepiest building we've done so far in our urban exploring career. Ooh.
They try to joke their way out of how scary this urban exploration is, but eventually they have to admit they are getting spooked by something paranormal in the house with them. Weird noises are coming from upstairs, or so they say, but to be honest, I don't hear anything.
Okay, what the f***'s that noise? It's coming from upstairs.
But as they slowly creep up the stairs, I can actually hear the weird sound, and that's when they get it. The creepy encounter caught on camera that they were all looking for.
No, this man. No.
Hello?
And that's when, with all of them on the steps mind you, the urban explorers see a rocking chair moving on its own.
Come on. And that was the haunted house here in Slinfold, and we're...
Since part of the chair is hidden by the doorway, maybe somebody was off camera making the chair move. Otherwise, this place is definitely haunted. A family outing is interrupted when an unknown object floats towards them, barely noticeable at first if not for its shimmering color and odd movements just beneath the surface. As they curiously approach, they can see it's not an object floating underwater, but rather an unidentified creature, an unknown worm-like blob that makes one of them turn away in fear. This is his real reaction caught on camera. Tell me what language this is and what's being said so we know where this video was taken from. At 37 seconds, a brave family member tries to grab it with their bare hands, and back underwater the creature goes. They claim to have a second video which, as of this time, has yet to be uploaded. According to them, the bottom of the creature has a face with one dark eye. Hopefully they upload part 2 of this creature sighting soon, so we can all see it. It looks real so far, but I will reserve my final analysis until then. That's not sludge you're looking at. Published by Casey Spotlight, a creepy sludge-like creature was captured on film in the shallows of a lake. The figure looks squidgy, mushy, rubbery, and above all slimy. Its form seems malleable. Its movements is like an amoeba, altering its shape. It also appears to have a mouth, but one with no teeth and only grandma gums. Well, some in the comments say it's a leech. If that's the case, it's the biggest leech I've ever seen. What do you think it is? Any theories? The Camino de la Muerte, or Road of Fate, lies in Bolivia along a 50-mile, rocky, narrow downhill road. The pass is so dangerous that the Inter-American Development Bank deemed it the most dangerous in the world in 1995. Somewhere between 200 to 300 people perish each year on this road. In this video, a bus driver attempts to traverse it to his own detriment. The road, which had recently suffered heavy rain, was prone to landslides, making the crossing even riskier business than usual. After ordering his passengers off the bus for safety's sake, they watch in terror as the driver attempts to creep across a very shaky and crumbling stretch of sand and rock, one that should not be crossed. The passengers attempt to help guide him, with one man in the video moving forward to motion that the driver move further away from the edge. It appears as if the bus will be successful in completing this crossing, but suddenly the ground crumbles beneath it and the bus tips, falling over the cliff, through the trees and down the mountain. While it's fortunate that the 50 passengers survived their devastating journey, sadly their driver did not. If you've seen the James Franco film 127 Hours, then you know the story of Aaron Ralston. Ralston was 26 when he ventured into southeast Utah's Blue John Canyon. On April 26, 2003, the climbing enthusiast was scaling down a slot canyon when a boulder he was standing on came loose and caught him between a rock and a hard place. Literally, his right hand was trapped between the boulder and the canyon wall. Ralston hadn't told anyone he was heading out to climb, so with the knowledge that no search party would be scouring the canyon for him anytime soon, he knew he'd have a disturbing decision to make. But before he made the decision to cut off his arm, he made a video diary of what could have been his last days. The diary was meant as a final message to his family and friends, as Ralston was sure he was going to pass away there. Apart from a short clip of the video diary, none of the footage has been released. Ralston says it is a private video for himself and his family. However, the producers and Franco watched the footage to prepare for 127 Hours. A transcript was written verbatim from his video diary. If you're squeamish, you probably wouldn't want to see the whole thing anyway. Then again, if you were squeamish, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. Night Owl 2007 published this video of a creepy sewer creature in February of 2018. In the video, some guys are walking along the road at night when they stop at a big heavy manhole cover and proceed to enter into the sewer. They remember how scary the sewer is, long dark tunnels, loud echoes. In order to see how deep one of the tunnels goes, the crew cracks a neon stick light and, turning off all other light sources, throws it into the tunnel. The tunnel must be deep, but the depths do terminate, as you can still see a tiny pinprick of light in the distance. As they're playing around with the neon sticks, the camera catches a skull-like face peeking over one of the crew's shoulders.
I don't think you're throwing out enough light here.
What do you think?
What the
It looks like a ghoulish mask leering behind him, but when the guy moves out of the way and the cameraman casts his camera beyond, there's nothing there. Needless to say, the entire crew springs into action, racing out of that sewer like no one's business. There is a roaring sound at the end, echoing as they jet out of the tunnel. We can assume they made it out alive, otherwise we wouldn't have this video to show for it. A coffee shop in New Jersey, known only as the Cafe, is rumored to be quite haunted. This used to be a hardware store long ago, and every day at 3 in the afternoon, the old owner is said to still make rounds. A paranormal investigation team sets up a camera to test the rumor out, and sure enough, at 3 in the afternoon, this light anomaly plays against the wall. It looks like someone is walking through the room at first, but then again, it could simply be light reflecting off the window of a vehicle driving by. Roughly half an hour later is when a second camera records this chair moving by itself. First it pulls out and then it smoothly goes back into place, like somebody sitting at the table. There are no strings on the legs and no visible shadow on the wall, so I think it could have been a ghost like they say it was. The ghost hunters also claim to have heard footsteps too, but unfortunately the video evidence does not have sound, so there's no way to verify that part of their investigation. This happened in May of 2020, so hopefully we get more potential ghost sightings from this coffee shop in the near future. This short video will send you running for the hills, posted to Instagram by para_noid_normal. This video shows a woman tearing down an alleyway in fear. A second later, you see why. What is that creature? Those in the comments have some theories. After creeping down the alleyway, she lays on the ground for some reason and doesn't get up again. Then she simply disappears. In my opinion, the creature looks like a skinwalker. What do you think? Myrtle Sorosa is a popular model and actress from the Philippines who witnessed something unexplainable while on tour. In eastern Samar, she and her crew are navigating unlit back roads when they spot this small phantom-like figure in the street. In Myrtle's words, the white blob caught by the dash cam does not match what they saw in person. She says what they saw looked more like a child who was around 10 years old with a pale face and a bluish-white shirt. They wanted to double back and save the helpless child, but their tour guide said that this road is famous for child ghost sightings, and that it was best to get out of there quickly. I guess this could all be just a publicity stunt, but since eastern Samar once had a bad typhoon that claimed the lives of many children, I think that she is probably telling the truth. Jan Flink heads to a crumbling cluster of haunted cabins in his home country of Finland. His flashlight cuts out 6 times as soon as he reaches the back of the first cabin. He is still holding it though, so maybe he is doing it himself. Up in the attic, he finds this strange setup, a single bowl on a makeshift sleeping area made of thin wood. Only one shoe is never a good sign. He goes outside and his flashlight starts messing up some more, but look behind him right before it does.
Should I just say bye? Or see you again in next video. Bye.
A woman in red with long black hair is looking at him. It wouldn't be too hard to fake this, and the fact that nothing happens for 44 minutes until the very end of this video makes me suspicious, but Jan Flink claims that this is the spirit of a woman who had a bad encounter with a bear in 1964 and passed away. It's been years since the video was posted, and as far as I've been able to research, he never said it was fake. The best place to see ghosts, cemeteries of course, as these paranormal investigators confirm. They posted this haunted cemetery video in October of 2019, writing, 2 different husband and wife paranormal investigators accompany GOCM 1 week apart to investigate a known haunted cemetery. The 45-minute video includes creepy screaming heard in the darkness as the investigators examine tombstones, as well as random voices heard using an EVP, a child laughing. Some of the ghosts even ask for help to leave.
What the?
A reminder to bring your EVP along the next time you enter the cemetery. That is, if you want to communicate with the afterlife that lies beneath those hollowed grounds. Restaurant workers from Sansom Park in Texas think they've caught an authentic ghost sighting on CCTV video. A dark paranormal mist that exits the passenger side and goes into the building. I would say that this was an insect crawling across the camera, but watch closely and at 2 minutes and 4 seconds you'll see a flicker of lines across the screen moments before the ghost appears. EMF interference like this could be an indication of something paranormal. They felt this place was haunted for a long time and are finally excited to have proof. Tell me if you believe them. A YouTuber named A. Marie says that she encountered a little ghost girl in the hallway of this haunted hotel in Oregon, and this eerie video taken late at night is her paranormal evidence. She's exploring the haunted hotel when she captures strange shadow movements on camera. I thought it was probably her own reflection in the window, but some people are saying that the angles don't match up and that this shadow has a different source, so maybe they're right.
Is there anybody with me? Is there any spirits with me?
Marie turns around only to capture a mysterious white light floating across the hallway. A little ghost girl wearing a dress according to some, but most likely a lens flare from the bright lights overhead. But here's the really creepy part. When she turns down the hall where the ghost last went, something scary is waiting for her. The creepy EVP sounds like a disembodied voice saying the word go, as in get out of this hall. I can only imagine that the legendary little ghost girl is turning around and saying this because she doesn't like to be followed by ghost hunters, and it might be best to heed her haunting words. If you've ever worked night security, human activity is likely the most you've ever had to worry about. Working security in India is another story, published by World of Wildlife and more in January of 2018. This security guard couldn't believe his eyes when he encountered a big cat roaming the Mumbai neighborhood at night. Captured at nearly 1 in the morning, the security guard is seen sitting on a plastic chair, probably trying his best to keep awake. The street is quiet. Just as a car approaches, so does an enormous leopard. The big cat looks like he's aiming toward the guard, but as he sees the car's light, the leopard rushes across the street instead and leaps up and out of sight. Wrapped in a blanket, the security guard goes to check it out, likely thinking he dozed off and was imagining things. After looking for the cat for a moment, the security guard walks off camera and returns with a big stick. The video ends before viewers see if he was forced to use it, but hopefully the leopard didn't stick around. The man was lucky the car showed up just in time. He could have been that leopard's lunch. Now you see it, now you don't. A pale, ghostly figure appears at the end of the darkened hallway. It seems to enter from the left. The dog clearly sees it and runs toward it. Then when the light flips on, the figure just disappears. The dog seems as surprised by this turn of events as we are. Watch it again. The figure is visibly there, there's no mistaking it. So where did it go? Although I'm not sure where the figure disappeared to, I did notice something else in the video. Watch the shadow on the floor after the light flickers on. Something clearly walks past in the other room. Is it the ghostly figure or some other monster? Working car parks aren't the most comfortable places in the light of day. So what happens when you enter an abandoned one in the darkness underground? Published to YouTube by Nellis in August of 2016, this video will make underground car parks seem even more terrifying. Nellis writes, "This is the scariest haunted abandoned place we've ever visited. The car park was in connection to a haunted hotel his crew had visited in Bosnia." He says that this video is even scarier than his 2-part series about the hotel. So let's see what's hiding down in this car park. The car park has clearly long been abandoned, overgrown grass at the entrance and rubble inside. As they descend into the pits of creepy, on one wall is a handprint, as though someone smeared something on the wall. It looks like something red. Nellis shines a flashlight into the dark and spots a bag. The crew hears something down in the car park, prompting Nellis to greet the darkness, asking if there's anyone down there to give them a sign.
If there's anyone in here, give us a sign.
A sound is heard, although it's not clear what it could be coming from. He continues to shine his flashlight all along the gap to the car park to see if anything is moving. They hear some more noises, repeated taps.
Wait, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
His friend speaks in Bosnian, likely again questioning whether or not anyone is there. On closer inspection of the underground, they spotted door and recently eaten food. They continue down to the bottom of the incline and throw stuff at the bag they'd seen earlier. While looking deeper into the car park, they don't open the bag, but Nellis says it appeared like someone was sleeping down here or otherwise staying here, as though they found food canisters and towels. As they again hear something in the darkness, they decide it's time to move it on out of there. Nellis says it sounds like something scraping the floor.
Oh my god, I heard something.
Whether human, animal, or something supernatural, leaving this place with only one way out was probably the best course of action. A man is keeping an eye on his two daughters when he notices a third child watching them from the doorway. The man quickly goes to check on his kids and finds them happily watching TV as if nothing's wrong. There's absolutely no one standing in the doorway watching them from behind the kids' gate, satisfied that everyone is safe. The father returns to the other room and checks the baby monitor again. Sure enough, the figure is standing in the exact same spot as if it never left, and this time you can clearly see one of the children looking straight at it. Apparently, this house was built in the 1940s, and the family sees this kind of thing quite often, which would explain why the father remains relatively calm instead of running out of the door. A YouTube channel called 3/Amir searches for what his video title roughly translates into English as the most dangerous magician. Though its glowing eyes make it look less human and more like a jinn, the Arabic word for demons and spirits. The way the eyes come into focus at 1 minute and 4 seconds looks pretty good, but I think it might be special effects because the overall resolution seems to briefly drop. White and red eyes look at him from outside of a window, and there's a really good look at them here at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. But these eyes look like they could be any of the city lights shown here when he goes outside. He does see the djinn standing outside of a window, eyes glowing white as ever. It disappears. Then he sees either the same creature or possibly another one in the building directly behind him. Now feeling surrounded, he turns and flees this entire area, but not before catching glowing eyes looking at him from the window within. Sometimes ghosts are just forewarning you about what's around the corner. YouTuber Paranormal Voyages shares this freaky short in which he's speaking to a spirit through a spirit box.
I just seen a shadow. Was that you? Whoa!
The spirit literally tells him, "The bat's in," and a moment later,
whoa!
Well, the bat's in. It feels pretty hard to be a skeptic after that series of events. A ghost hunter named Zaphod Bebley Brox is at the Hill House Manor in Gainesville, Texas. When they get activity on their equipment, the rules of communication are 1 blink for yes and 2 blinks for no, but this spirit presses no many times over when asked if it is an older man.
Are you the male that just came back in here?
No, it's a little girl.
His partner thinks it must be one of the 2 children spirits known to roam this floor, and when they ask if it wants to play, First he uses the equipment to say no, and then he uses its actual voice. It even answers like a child, waiting until the adult says no before repeating him in a small sad voice.
Are you the little girl? Would you like to play jacks? Can you say yes or no? Huh? No?
Judging by how she is in no mood to play, I'd say something bad must have happened to them, something that's keeping them trapped with no release forever. This ghostly figure is the Thief of Souls, published by Land on TV in November of 2021. This man encountered an obscure figure lurking on an empty road at night. After wandering through a quiet village in the late hours, the man spies the silent figure in the darkness. He walks in another direction but soon sees the figure again. As he yells at the shadowy figure, it moves away into the darkness. Later it seems he spies the figure up in the trees, either having climbed it or perhaps even hovering in the air. What does this thing want? I'm guessing his soul. This is definitely one of the scariest videos ever posted on my Chills Narrator subreddit by far. It was found on a random Discord and probably was floating around some nefarious parts of the web long before getting sent my way. A teenager whose identity remains unknown hears a strange noise outside of his room and decides to investigate. He doesn't make it very far before he finds his investigation has gone wrong in a terrifying way. His final scary moments are caught on camera and it looks pretty grim.
See, I'm gonna go out there and look.
A slight smirk shows he never expected an unknown creature to descend upon him from within the darkened doorway. He doesn't have a chance to properly scream before the mysterious animal-like figure is on him. In a single scary moment that probably ended badly, the creature's snout and a dog-like face are visible moments before it strikes at 5 seconds, along with 2 beady white eyes. So maybe this is a dogman sighting caught on tape and something that's beyond creepy. These weird white streaks of light look to be the dogman's claws, and they're coming straight down towards this kid's head. Freaky, right? A ghost hunting crew named Full Moon Inc. Paranormal Investigators are certain they've caught some paranormal activity surrounding a cursed mirror recently purchased at a yard sale. Here's their evidence. A ghost does seem to unclasp the lock. The only way to fake this is with a string, which would be fairly easy to detect at close range, especially against the dark wood. Within a month, the ghost seems to have spread from the haunted mirror and into the kids' room. The Full Moon Inc. investigators are shocked to see a stuffed animal moving on its own. They suspect the toy is haunted by a ghost trying to play with them. The toy on top barely moves. Was the object moved by a ghost or by one of the paranormal investigators hiding behind? Both incidents look real, but let's get your opinion on these paranormal encounters. On occasion, images caught on a baby monitor can give you pause. Other times, they're downright paralyzing. Published to TikTok by Martin, the TikToker thinks this is a monster. A baby is turning restlessly in his crib. You can see a dark form at the head of the crib, but it's not yet clear if it's just an innocuous shadow cast by something in the room. But as the baby turns onto his stomach, 2 glowing eyes blink open and thin, smoky fingers reach into the crib from the side. Is this a spirit, an alien, a monster, a human intruder? Whatever it is, get that baby out of there and fast. A group of friends are hanging out late at night when a strange yelping sound brings them to a window to investigate.
Do you hear that? What the?
They start to argue about if it sounds like a regular animal in distress or some sort of rare and mysterious creature. Listen to these noises and tell me if this sounds like anything you've ever heard in the woods before. All of them soon start to feel uncertain about hanging around the open window and back away. I think it sounds like it could possibly be an animal that's being hunted, but I'm not sure. What do you think is happening? And would you be brave enough to go into the woods and find out? I wouldn't. An unexplained ghost sighting caught on camera by Chris Allen looks real enough to have me beyond creeped out. It looks like something small is underneath, or scarier still, someone, a ghost, is running their hand along the covers.
Where you at? I don't see you. There you are. What are you doing? Yo, this is so creepy.
It looks paranormal, but I'm suspicious because he never looks underneath to verify nothing's there.
My feet are over here. Both of them. Look, both of my feet. This is not my feet. There's nobody in this bed. Yo, I'm getting out of the bed.
I really hope this is like a pet mouse or something, or else his bedroom is definitely haunted. Samuel Porter lives near an abandoned house that he wants to explore, so he and his friends take a short walk and soon find themselves standing outside of its gnarled wooden door. Someone has gone to great lengths to keep trespassers away. The door is locked and the window they get in through is covered in barbed wire. The inside of the old cottage is filthy and collapsing. Large sections of the floor have been eaten away, but they curiously press on. Samuel Porter pokes his head through a hole in the ceiling to see what's on the second floor, a decision he will remember forever. The first thing he notices are two sticks that have been formed into a hanging cross for some reason.
Perfect thumbnail right here, lads.
Then to the left he sees the knotted rope. I did notice one thing about this creepy scenario. If this is an actual noose meant for hanging purposes, then it looks to be set the wrong height for someone to use on themselves. I'm curious to find out what you think happened in this room. To me, it unfortunately looks pretty obvious. Here's a vintage ghost video taken back when most people did not know how to edit anything at all. A ghost hunter travels to an abandoned house in Virginia on a road in the woods with no streetlights and no neighbors. A CCTV system is set up, which looks old-fashioned by today's standards but was state-of-the-art back in 2002, and at 8:13 at night, this pale ghost in the window is caught on camera. The ghost in the window is not the investigator. He's standing behind the camera adjusting it at the time. According to him, this window is 7 feet off the ground with no way for anyone to get up there in the first place. I was thinking it was a passing car, but he says the street was quiet as always, so maybe it was an apparition after all. Basements are built to house all the evils of the world. This basement is no exception. Published by YouTuber Mr. Vujade in February of 2012, this frightening basement monster will scare the living daylights out of you. The short clip sees our protagonist heading downstairs into a creepy dark basement. As he slowly searches the space, it appears empty, apart from a few piles of storage items, some bicycles, the usual suspects in a basement. But then suddenly he turns, which is when he is confronted by this. "I'm never going down there again," the YouTuber writes. Who can blame him? I don't think I could ever work up the courage to explore that basement. What is moving in the darkness on this foggy road? The YouTuber thinks he's spotted a skinwalker. He gets out of his car to take a closer look, but when he does, skinwalker or not, you'd better run. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.